agree or disagree with the following statements about tonight's 11-game NBA slate. So, chase or fade, Jokic against Dallas is the best DFS player over 10K on tonight's slate. Kenny, are you chasing or fading?
I'm chasing. I really don't like a lot of these high-priced options, and I do like Nikola Jokic's matchup down low with the Dallas Mavericks, who are 6th worst in field goal percentage inside of 10 feet. They're bad against the post-up. They're bad in rebounding. They're weak inside, and I think that ultimately Jokic has a very, very good matchup here. Obviously, it's not like a super pace-up game for the Nuggets, but I just don't think they're going to run into a ton of resistance scoring the basketball. I think that they win this game. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But I think that Jokic is a very, very solid option if you're looking to spend some coin. The usage has also been there, over 32% in the last 2 games. And while he's kind of been a little volatile, you know that the talent's there, and you know that he's going to come out playing with a purpose against, a Western Conference rivalry. So I actually think that the Nuggets and Nikola Jokic are worth your look here.
All right, Kenny, you chasing or fading this? Kenny just answered. Nick, you chasing or fading this?
I'm with Kenny here. I think it's pretty unassailable at this point, Jokic's production. I mean, 57 DraftKings points per game on the season. And honestly, that started to feel like his floor over these last couple of weeks. He's virtually matchup proof at this point. Some players you kind of look at the opposing defense, you look at the one-to-one matchup. I really don't even worry about that with Jokic. Like, it just doesn't seem to matter. They're down Jamal Murray. They're down Michael Porter. He's still throwing up 60-plus point DraftKings games regularly. Should have had another double or triple double, in yesterday's game had that not been a massive blowout in favor of the Nuggets. Only played 28 minutes. Certainly, I don't mind going with Luka on the other side of this game. Hard to fade a guy coming off of an 80 DraftKings points game in his own right, but I think the price is fair for a guy in Jokic whose floor remains just ridiculously high night to night.
All right, Nick, which value play are you going to be chasing for tonight?
So I actually like quite a few on this slate. I think there are some generous prices for a few guys, and I want to start with Kevin Huerter at 3,800. I think he's going to be a really popular pivot. We learned late last night that DeAndre Hunter is going to be out for maybe 8+ weeks. He's undergoing surgery. Huerter had already played 30+ minutes in 3 straight games. I think he clearly steps into a larger role now for that Hawks team. So I think he makes a lot of sense. Jeff Green, another injury replacement. He's seen more minutes in place of Michael Porter Jr., 3,800. I think also a fair price for him. Alex Caruso at 4,000 going up against the Lakers tonight. He's got 30+ DraftKings points in 2 of his last 3 games. Gets a ton of value from steals, which can be a little bit fluky, but the way that he's putting them up, I mean, it's really not a fluke. I think he has at least 1 steal in every game this season, has multiple steals in like 80% of his games. The Lakers turn it over a ton. I think that one-on-one matchup against Westbrook is going to be really friendly for Caruso. And then I have to mention JaVale McGee, 4,200 at Minnesota. I highly doubt DeAndre Ayton comes back on the second half of a back-to-back tonight, so we could be looking at another night with extended minutes for JaVale McGee.
All right, Kenny, we're looking for value. Which value play are you chasing tonight?
Yeah, I was going to talk all about Alex Caruso. I think $4,000 is a really good price for him. Again, against the Lakers, a big revenge game. He's been outstanding this year. I am a little bit worried that he did play 38 minutes against the Clippers on the first night of a back-to-back. I don't know if they're going to be really cautious with his minutes, but this guy is the greatest player we've ever seen, so he'll probably end up playing. Also, Tony Bradley, I'm going to monitor this Vucevic situation, but if he does miss the game, Tony Bradley at $3,500. The Lakers are very, very weak inside. He played 24 minutes against the Clippers last night, managed 13 DraftKings fantasy points. So I think that, he really doesn't have to do too much to hit value for you at this price. And I think that he could, given the minutes. I'm just going to kind of keep an eye on Bulls news today. The injury report not out yet for them. But I think that Vucevic should miss this game. So I think Tony Bradley, probably a guy I look to target. Even though it's not the best matchup, I do think that he can get some rebounds against Anthony Davis and get you 20 fantasy points.
Kenny, you said you don't like a lot of these expensive guys tonight. So which top price player are you absolutely fading today?
Yeah, it's Anthony Davis, right? 10.4K. The Bulls are really, really good inside. They've allowed 0.84 points per play against the post-up. Opponents posting up have only had a 37.3% success rate on converting on those field goal attempts. So they're really good against the post-up. Anthony Davis obviously likes to score in the post. This is going to be a really physical game down low. I expect the Bulls to put up a big fight here against the Lakers on the glass. And I just don't think that Anthony Davis, the guy that really has been hard to trust this year, he's been very up and down. He's had some great games, but he's also had some really bad games. I don't know if I can really trust him in a really physical defensive matchup. As much of the ball as he might get, I just don't know if he's really going to score a ton.
All right, Nick, which top price player are you just giving the fade to?
Well, I think Kenny's on the right track with Anthony Davis. It'd be really nice that, if and when LeBron James is out, you could count on Anthony Davis to carry the workload, but he just has never really seemed all that interested in being that guy. And the defensive production lately has been really nice. That's kind of buoyed his fantasy value. But, there are some guys that when the other superstar is out, you just know they're going to go for 30 plus and they're going to try to take the team on their back. It wouldn't surprise me if Davis goes like 4 of 13 from the field and is just relying on the mid-range jumper in a game where, you should like the matchup, especially without Vucevic. But I'm also going to fade Jayson Tatum tonight at 9,800. He's facing the Cavs for the second time in 3 nights. He's just been way too reliant on the jumper this season. And for the most part, it hasn't been there. He's coming off of yet another 3-point shooting, struggle-filled game on Saturday, 1 of 8 from 3 in that loss. He's made more than half of his threes in just 1 game this season. He's hit at least half his threes in only 2 games. So it's just been, 2 of 7, 1 of 9, 3 of 8, game after game with Jayson Tatum. He also has 3 or fewer assists in 8 of his last 9 games. So, Jaylen Brown's missed time during that span. You'd like to think Tatum operates a little bit more as a facilitator. That really hasn't happened at all. The lack of assists to me has been very concerning. And then you look at the matchup. I mean, I don't know if I'm ready to take the Cavs as a serious, team that can win a playoff series in the East, but they're no longer a team that you look at and say, all right, we're just going to put up 125 points and cruise to an easy victory. This is a top 10 defense. This is a team with a top 10 net rating so far. It's no longer a matchup that you seek out in DFS.
All right, Boston and Cleveland again after the Cavs beat the Celtics 91-89 on Friday night. Both teams average and give up over 100 points a game. So despite that game total the other time, are you chasing the over 199 as the best game total on the slate tonight, Nick?
I mean, this is a striking game total in the year of our Lord 2021, right? I mean, really, really low. But that's kind of the state of the NBA right now. It's a combination of players adjusting to some of the changes in refereeing. I think some players still adjusting to the new basketball. Offense is down. The average team is shooting under 45% from the field, under 35% from 3. So we're seeing lower scoring totals than we're used to. This is kind of a stay away for me. Like, that number is so low that it's just like, what do they know that I don't know? I think I like Raptors Blazers a little bit more. I'd go under on 212 as the total there. Very possible that Damian Lillard misses another game with that abdominal issue on the second half of a back-to-back. Blazers looked awful last night against Denver. That game was over early in the second half. Struggled to even get to 95 points. A lot of that came in garbage time. Neither of these teams are great defenses, but I don't really trust the offense, especially on the Portland side there.
I mean, Kenny, on Friday night, they combined for 180.
Yeah, it's not a terrible bet. I mean, I do think that these two teams are really good playing defense. I'm going to actually go with a different total, though. I'm going to go with the under 216.5 points. In Bulls-Lakers, a game that should be very fun. But look, I mean, first of all, just unscientifically, we know that Russell Westbrook loves to push the pace. This is why his teams are always top 5 in pace. We also know that Russell Westbrook is bad. And these old guys on the Lakers just can't keep up with Russ running up and down the floor, right? They're getting exhausted. We're seeing this team not score on the offensive end. I don't think they're a very good team. The Bulls are 15th in pace. I do think they're going to try to slow this game down a little bit. And ultimately, I think this is going to be a rock fight. The Bulls lead the league in 2-point field goal frequency, rather. I just don't think that this is a game that's going to be decided around the perimeter. I think both these teams are going to try inside. We have the Bulls, who are a very good interior defense. We talked about the Lakers, who are decent against in the post as well, and the Bulls very good against post up. So Anthony Davis is going to have a tough time scoring, I think, as well. I think that when it all comes down to it, we might see some fast break here, but ultimately, I just don't know if both these teams are going to wilt on the defensive end, and I don't know if the tired Bulls, on the offensive end, which is really the only way this game goes over, are going to have enough. So I think that this is going to be a game decided around the rim, and I think that's good for unders.
All right, Phoenix visiting Minnesota, 4-point favorites. Is Phoenix -4 the spread that you're chasing as your favorite team to cover tonight, Kenny?
Look, it's really, I think that it's tied with the Nuggets at +3.5, because look, the Suns, over the last 4 games, they've really picked up their defense. We saw a slow start for this team on the defensive end. We were kind of really sure what we were looking at, but over the last 4 games, second in defensive rating in the NBA, just over 96 points allowed per 100 possessions. And meanwhile, the Timberwolves, I know that they've had some moments this year. Anthony Edwards has looked really good, but I mean, I just don't think this team is really like a fully rounded offensive team yet. They're still near the bottom of the league in efficiency rating on that end. So I don't know if I'm really ready to trust them scoring against the defense that's looked like, last year's Suns defense. Really, it's looked really good. So I do think the Suns cover here. I think there's a reason why it's out to 4 points now. But I also really like the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets win outright in Dallas. They have one of the best 3-point field goal percentages against in the NBA. They have the second best defense in the NBA. The Mavericks are very weak inside. I think Jokic takes advantage. So I think that the Nuggets kind of run away with that game and win it as the underdogs. I also do think the Suns can win by double digits here against the Timberwolves. I think that I really like them a lot.
Nick, are you chasing Phoenix as your favorite team to cover tonight?
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. As Kenny alluded to, the Suns are starting to look more like the Suns, and the Timberwolves are starting to look more like the Timberwolves over these last couple of weeks. So I think there is a lot of value in chasing Phoenix tonight. I do like Toronto to win outright at Portland. They're 1.5-point dogs as of this morning. Again, no Damian Lillard, in my opinion, at least, for Portland. We'll see if he tries to push through on the second half of a back-to-back. I'm not even sure that would be, something that would be beneficial to Portland, if he's hurting enough that he missed a game last night. I also like the Bulls -1 at the Lakers. I've watched so many LeBron games over the years that when you take LeBron away from a team, his team very rarely wins a game that it is the inferior team. And I feel like the Bulls are the better team in this game. And the Lakers have been able to pick up some wins against teams that they should beat. But when they run into an opponent that can score, an opponent that can play defense, an opponent that has multiple, all-star caliber players, guys like Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook tend to wilt in those situations. So even though the Bulls are on the road, they're on a back-to-back, I do like Chicago to cover 1 point in that one.